Kia ora from New Zealand. Hey, my name's Matsu and I thought I'd just put a video together documenting and recording my experiments and experiences with tissue culture, in particular cacti. So to start off, make sure you have all your recipes and techniques written down. Make sure you know what you're doing and really do your research before going into this. It will save you a lot of time and hassle later. Being a Kiwi though, I am winging it a lot, and I'm winging it a lot in my work, and I'm still really new to it. So I'm not going to be sharing my recipes here, but I'm going to show you how I do it. This is deionized water I found at the supermarket, super cheap, and I'm going to weigh out my MS media and chuck this in here. It's about 10.5 grams for the slot. I'm only doing 250 mil, so usually you'd be doing a litre. Doing 250 mil makes it really hard to weigh out the hormones later, but I want to be doing a couple of different jars today, a couple of different recipes, and I don't have that much media. So yeah, just slap that in there and give it a mix in, and we're going to start weighing out our hormones. Hormones are great, cytokinins and auxins, and the ratio of auxins and other plant hormones determine whether roots, buds or cells will develop. Like a high auxin to cytokinin ratio prompts root growth, while high cytokinin to auxin promotes new shoot formation. Here I'm going to be weighing out a mix intended to promote callus using 2,4-D and BAP. Just going to crush this up and chuck it in a small jar with a bit of my MS medium pipetted out from the pot and mix it in there. I feel like I'm going to get a better mix like this. So chuck that in there, and now we're going to adjust the pH. Now I know cacti as adult plants like relatively acidic soil, but 7.5 is really what you want to go for a basic MS medium. So between 7.5 and 7 should be fine. Now we're going to load up our jars. These don't have clear lids, but they're great, and I'm going to be putting them on an angle with a relatively good light. I'm going to be putting about 30 mils per jar, and hopefully that's deep enough to see some great root formations. Really important to label. These are called Cactus Callus Mix, and chuck the date on there as well. Wrap it in some foil. Chuck it in the autoclave. So I'm going to be doing a pour tech as well. So this means they're not going to be chucked into individual jars before they get put in the autoclave. I'm going to autoclave the whole of the MS, and then inside of a still air box, pour some MS into jars that are non-autoclavable. My tools and my still air box have been sterilized, and these are the jars preparing for the pour tech. I've also put my MS media here with a secondary callus mix. Let that cool down to 50 degrees and chuck that in the still air box. Give it another wipe down, and then we're going to be doing our pour tech. Just going to loosen the lids of these jars and pour into a little beaker, and then from that little beaker pour into the jars. Just deep enough to chuck some explants onto. So this is a reenactment outside of the still air box to give a better view of it. MS media gets poured into the beaker, and with the loose lid makes it really easy, especially when you're wearing gloves. Don't have a flow hood, so you got to work with what you got. And all of these are going to be chucked back in the UV sterilizer while they're still warm. I'm going to put them in there for 30 minutes, and when they're cooled, put them in for another 30 minutes. So I just finished inoculating my jars inside the still air box and decided to film it again really clearly. So we're going to take our selected explant, in this case Astrophytum asterius Kikul, and chuck that in some detergent for about 15 minutes and just mix it up well in there. If you have a magnetic stirrer, even better. This is a really weak detergent, eco detergent, which is my preferred one to use. Then we're going to take that explant and give it a little bit of a dip in some sterile water. This is that same deionized water from before, and put that in some 70% isopropyl. And this is going to be stirred in there around for about maybe a minute or a minute and a half. This is a particularly large explant. We're going to now put it in some bleach. I've chosen to use 3% bleach solution, but up to 5 should be fine. Keep in mind that any tissue that is exposed to bleach is going to be dead. You know, you're really going to kill the cells there. The epidermis should be fine. Now we're going to rinse off all of that bleach and cut off all of the flesh that was exposed to it. We're rinsing it 3 times here with water. Now on a clean surface, I've just given it a wipe down with alcohol. Just going to cut right into it and put aside different pieces. You can use several different explants for one jar. One is fine. So cut it up into sections, whatever sections you prefer, and keep to the side the pieces that you don't want, the dead tissue. And just open up your lid and chuck them in there. Press them a little bit into the medium so that they stick, and you can lift the jars around without them sliding around, and expose them to more hormones as well. I'm going to be experimenting using different parts of explants, using some from the core tissue, some from the epidermis. We've got 2 pieces that have a little bit of both at the moment. And because we're trying to induce callus with these hormones, it doesn't really matter how many we put in here. We're going to be sealing these up with a little bit of parafilm, super stretchy so it doesn't take that much, keeping the relative humidity in there and bacteria out. Just as important as all the other steps is to label correctly, so grab your label or just write it on the jar if that works for you. Perfect. Would like to check back in on some of these ones that I've done and do some more recipes in the future. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know your guys' experiments as well. I'd love to see more. Peace.